when you look at some of the other generations, obviously we've had tough times in the markets. There are people who have been looking at retirement. Any mistakes on that other end of one's career spectrum you'd want to mention?
Mhm. Yeah, I think last year what we saw is, we did a survey and almost 70% of Americans told us that they were really concerned about the impact of inflation on their personal outcome and well-being, which means they're even more reliant on their tax refunds this year. And so when I think about one of the changes we saw last year was we saw people that borrowing against their retirement savings. And those can definitely have tax implications. So it's important that you know that and plan for that if you're using that as something to help you make ends meet during this inflationary environment.
So I imagine when people meet you on a plane or any other capacity, much like being a doctor, they start asking you all kinds of questions about their personal idiosyncratic tax situations. From whether it's over your career or just a specific season, what are some of the common questions you get, Karen, or just some general advice that you would give in terms of the fear factor we all feel when it's tax season?
Yeah, great question, Diane. I think, one of the most common questions or, pieces of advice I give is that taxes are a very personal situation. So often, parents of my kids at sporting events and things, they know I work for H&R Block, will ask, well, I have this side thing I've been doing or I have this rental property, or often it is my friend told me or my neighbor told me or my colleague told me. And the biggest piece of advice I give is that taxes are a very personal situation. So it's really important that, one, when you think about how you file, you consider your situation is different than the next person's situation. So what one person may be entitled to take in terms of a credit or expense deduction may not be the same as the next person. And so it's super important that you get the right level of help and expertise that matches both the complexity of your tax situation and your confidence in your ability to go it alone. Because some people do want to file on their own, and we offer that option. But I think one of the things that makes H&R Block great is that ability to connect with you and help you on the journey. So you don't have to choose upfront. Anyone who's ever done a DIY home improvement project will tell you it was never as easy once they got into it as what they thought. And I think taxes can be that way too. So knowing that you can start on your own, but not being afraid to ask the experts for help along the way is such an important thing. You just don't want to risk for what some people is your biggest single financial transaction of the year. And that is the way they file their taxes and the refund or the balance due that they face.